Welcome back to my breakdown of the Golden Age arc. This is part 6, and now we're about to enter into the Battle of Doldrey, the most important battle in Berserk's 100-year war between Midland and Shooter. We get a great image of the stronghold here, amazingly drawn by Miura. Griffith sits at a table with the king and some noblemen as they try to come up with a plan just how this could possibly take over the stronghold. Apparently there have been dozens of attempts over the last 100 years, but none successful. Griffith, however, is unfazed by this. He notes that if the king allows it, he could take the fortress and not have to sacrifice any of the king's knights. All he would need is his band of the hawk. Preposterous as it sounds to the noblemen, the king allows it, causing some of his men to call him senile behind his back, yet others believe in Griffith due to his accomplishments thus far. Some even call him the hero of the century. Back at the camp of the Hawks, Casca mentions to Guts that there's another factor involved in fighting against Shooter. The current general and commander of the northern battlefront is a man named Gennon. He was once the nobleman that Griffith had sex with in order to have funding for the Hawks, something Griffith would never tell any of the Hawks, but perhaps this is a deeper reason as to why he decided to fight on the side of Midland. Not on the merits of Midland itself, but with a deep personal vendetta against the other side. Winning this battle, Griffith could have his cake and eat it too, become an accomplished member of the royal court, and get rid of remnants of his shameful past. Oh yeah, and apparently asshole Adon did manage to escape the forest during the fight with Guts. He implemented another one of his passed down techniques called playing dead. Not even kidding. But then he's met with a true warrior named Basgon. He tells Adon what a disgrace he is and revokes his command. Now, I think Basgon is actually a really cool and intimidating character. He only has one real purpose to achieve, to be a strong guy for Guts to fight. But part of me wishes he stuck around a little more, as I enjoy what an intimidating force he is. He goes to see Ganon, who is creepily having a small boy pour him wine. Yeah, don't really want to know what's going on there. And he tells Basgon to keep the leader of the Hawks alive at all costs, no doubt wanting to have another go with Griffith. The Hawks arrive, putting their backs against the river, confusing to Basgon as it would give them nowhere to run and their numbers are much smaller than Shooter's. Nevertheless, the Rhino Knights suit up, ready to take him on. Rhinos versus Hawks. Power versus cunning? Or at least that's how I see it. I don't know, I might be looking too much into that there. A little exchange of camaraderie is given between Guts and Griffiths before they begin. And Guts repeats in his head that this is the last battle that he will fight for him. The last battle as the captain of the Hawks Raiders. Griffith commands them to charge forward. They clash and tear through the first few troops. Watching from above, Ganon is fearful that they will kill Griffith and decides to go down to the battlefield himself. Soon, Griffith commands the Hawks to fall back. And reading this manga really feels like I'm watching a movie. I don't mention it enough, but the action shots and panel design really make your eyes flow from image to image, capturing the movement. Read this while listening to some intense fighting music and it's like you're watching 300 or Troy or something like that. Griffith's plan is beginning to make sense. The Shooter Knights chase them back towards the river, and that's when the Hawks turn around once more. Facing them head on with nowhere to run, the Hawks have no choice but to give it their all. On top of that, now that the Knights are far away from the stronghold, the second stage of Griffith's plan begins to take place. Flanking from the side, Casca leads more Hawk members onto the unguarded castle, hoping to siege it from within. Adon notices this, armors up, and confronts her. Casca calls him a cockroach, which is fairly accurate, and then plans to fight him. He begins to get his ass kicked and then pleads for mercy. All a trick as he shoots a hidden arrow at her. Finally, Casca has enough of his shit. She flips over him and then swipes her sword, giving him a nice Chelsea grin before he falls to the floor and bleeds out. Good riddance. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, things heat up as Guts and Basgon come face to face. They clash into each other so hard that Guts' gigantic sword actually breaks. Griffith, Corcus, Pippin, Judo, Rickert, they all look on in horror, wondering if this is it for Guts. Some Hawks jump in and try to protect Guts, but Basgon just rips through them like butter. But then, watching from the hilltop is Zod. He throws a sword down on the battlefield just in front of Guts. This scene, for whatever reason, was not included in the anime movie adaptations of the Golden Age arc, but it was in the anime series, and I have no idea why they would have excluded it from the films, just because I feel like it's a pretty important moment. I mean, any time Zod appears is important. But Guts grabs the sword and then just BAM! He cuts Basgon and his horse's head clean off. With this, the Shooter Knights have lost their strongest warrior. They look back to see the stronghold to maybe retreat to, but see that the flags of the Hawk's banner are being raised. Casca and the others have already taken it from the inside, and they have lost. Griffith tells them they can flee or die, and leads the Hawk back towards the stronghold. But then Griffith comes face to face with Ganon. Ganon confesses how he's yearned for Griffith and missed him all this time, hoping he'd come back to him. And then, in one of the most badass responses, Griffith tells Ganon that he feels nothing towards him, good or bad. That Ganon was simply used when he was relevant. A stone in his path that he had crossed long ago. Griffith kills him instantly and moves on. So did Griffith hate him deep down, or was he telling the truth here? He views most everyone around him as tools, and after having years to reflect, the embarrassment has all but dissipated. I feel like in that moment prior, when Griffith was washing off in the lake, is when he came to terms with doing all the horrendous things he has to do to get what he wants. All for the greater goal. And what once would bother him now becomes nothing but a stone in his path. He must press forward. Casca sits in the stronghold, resting, when Guts arrives to see her, giving her a hand back to her feet. She sees everyone cheering Griffith on the ground and mentions how far away he feels from her. Guts decides to just pick her up and take her to him, stating that she'll never get anywhere just staring at him. As he walks her down the steps, he leaves behind the sword that Zod threw to him. Zod, who in the distance rides off on a horse, stating that the eclipse will soon come and the demon advent approaches. I can't imagine how it felt to read that line for the first time for those who didn't know what was coming. Back in Midland, the little creep Minister Foss again plots to poison Griffith, this time with the aid of the Queen herself, who is revealed to have been having an affair with Julius, who Guts assassinated. Apparently going to him because the king still pines after his first wife and the mother of Charlotte. A parade is being held for the Hawks, in which all the Midland people swoon over them. Guts and Gaston talk about how incredible it is that Griffith has gotten him this far. And Guts reflects on the time that Griffith told him that he will attain his own kingdom. Princess Charlotte gets herself all pampered up and waves to Griffith from her window, but he doesn't see her. You know, she's just too innocent for this series. In the next chapter called Moment of Glory, we see our main Hawk members all dressed up for a celebration. It's very striking to see them all decked out like this, but we really feel as though they've earned it. And I like how Miura can go from a blood-infested battle scene to a large, clean palace room, and it all feels like it's in the same universe. The girls all swoon over Griffith, of course, but the others get some attention as well. I like how Corcus just eats it all up, enjoying the hell out of every moment of it. And then we have socially awkward Guts, who goes and sits down alone, until Casca shows up in a dress. Aww. She looks absolutely gorgeous, and Guts is taken aback by this. He of course pokes fun at her for a bit, but then the two of them, both feeling very uncomfortable in this situation, go outside to escape the crowd. Casca confesses it's been years since she wore a skirt or anything like it, but Guts tells her she looks good. Even tells her she should ask Griffith for a dance. Guts and Casca have developed a neat bond at this point that I really like. It's not love, really, but a form of mutual respect and camaraderie. One they would have never had if not falling off that cliff together. You can tell there's something here brewing. The king arrives over all of them, commemorating the Hawks, and mentions that they shall all be knighted, and that Griffith, their leader, shall receive the title of White Phoenix General. From hawk to phoenix. Is this more animal symbolism? I don't know. But then we get a look between Guts and Griffith, smiling at their accomplishment together. And I swear to God that in this moment, they are equals, and they see each other as such. True friends, true comrades. And maybe this is why Griffith will act the way he does towards Guts soon. Maybe Griffith cannot admit that a man with no overarching dream can actually be his equal. He refuses to accept this in his heart. But Foss's plan to poison Griffith goes underway as a server who is in on it to give Griffith a drink. Shockingly, Griffith actually does drink it and then passes out, supposedly dead. The server escapes the room but is quickly killed by Guts. Meanwhile, Foss, the Queen, and the others that are involved in this poisoning plot all sit together in a room talking about it. Foss is seemingly nervous and decides to leave to check on the commotion. Not soon after he leaves, the building begins to catch on fire. They panic and try to escape, but the door is barricaded shut. They look down from the window, and standing there they see Griffith, alive and well, watching fiercely as they all burn. And that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying these. Share these with your other friends that like Berserk. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. It's okay if you don't, but it'd be nice. And I'll see you guys in the next Berserk video.